Hello, everyone, and welcome to this webinar from the Biomedical Engineering Society to provide some tips about nominations for awards and grade of fellows for our society. Thank you for your attendance. My name is Maribel Vasquez, and I am a professor of biomedical engineering at Rutgers University in New Jersey. I have the honor of serving as the chair of the awards committee this year, and we'll start this webinar. I will share this webinar with my colleague, Dr. Rebecca Kuntz-Willits, who is the chair for the Fellows Committee. So we'll start with the professional awards from the Society. We have several professional awards ranging from at all career levels, from the Robert Pritzker Distinguished Lectureship to the Rita Schaefer Young Investigator Award. Each of these awards can be found on the bmes.org/awards link, and all of the details about the nomination process and the requirements and eligibility can be found there. The awards are very varied. The premier award is the Pritzker Distinguished Lecture Award, that is for an individual who has had tremendous lifelong impact in technical contributions to the society. One of our newer awards is the Athanasiou Medal of Excellence, which is for an individual who has made excellent contributions specifically in translational bioengineering. The Walter H. Coulter Award is for healthcare innovation for BMES researchers who have worked with industry to develop diagnostics or devices. The Diversity Lecture Award is for individuals, groups, or institutions who have had significant impact in developing workforce diversity and society at large. The Mid-Career Award are for is for one individual BMES member who has had significant impact in the first 20 years of the career post receiving the doctoral degree. And the Rita Schaefer Young Investigator Award are for new academic researchers who have had significant impact. And you can find each of these awards on individual links on the BMES website. The nomination packet for each award is slightly different, but they do have many common similarities that we will discuss here. So first, the nominator must fill out a SurveyMonkey form. Here you will place the name of the nominee, all the contact details for that nominee, and also provide several concise statements as to what is the impact of this nominee for the award and in its area and in terms of its metrics. Each award requires a different number of nomination letters, but the format and the page limit for each is described on the individual link. For example, this page limit can be from 2 pages to 5 pages. The curriculum vitae is required for each award, and that could be in a full CV that's added as a supplement, or it can be abbreviated 5-pager or 10-pager, depending on the award. Recommendation letters also have different word limits and page numbers per award, and the number of letters vary per award from 2 to 5, as you will see in each of the links. Well, we want to share some tips for those who want to nominate excellent candidates for these awards. Please review the rubric and criteria very carefully to ensure that your nomination and reference letters highlight the relevant strengths of the nominee. It is heartbreaking to see excellent candidates not receive the awards because the recommendation letters did not address the requirements for each award. Please clearly demonstrate the impact of the nominee's work by using quantifiable data and metrics when possible. We want to talk about how we can make the process equitable from a nominator's perspective. Please consider your full network, not just the colleagues in your department or your institution. If you are able, start the process of nomination early for excellent eligible candidates, because this will allow you to receive feedback in the unfortunate event that your candidate does not get awarded in the first round. Don't be discouraged if this doesn't happen the first time. You are encouraged to resubmit in future cycles, and you may reach out to the committee chair to ask for feedback on how you can improve the application of your nominee. Now, the BMES has made strides in cultivating an equitable process of nomination in the last few years. First, you clearly outline award criteria and standardize the requirements for each award. Society provides specific award rubrics and full process transparency. So when you do click on the link for each award, you will see the rubric that is used to assess each candidate. Importantly, BMES seeks nominations from candidates with a diversity of BME research areas, types of educational institutions, and geographical locations. We all know there are excellent researchers everywhere, and we want to provide opportunities for everyone in our community to be recognized for their impact. The BMES has really expanded networks for advertising BMES awards to encourage others within our society and outside of our society to apply or to nominate our members. And we increase and enrich the pool of reviewers to include a full diversity of perspectives from the BMES community. Now I will turn it over to my colleague who will describe the BMES grade of fellows.
Thank you so much, Maribel. You hit on all of the highlights for the fellow nominations. Also, they are streamlined in similar format to what you saw for awards. So just to highlight, the details for the nominations are at the link provided here. That's /fellows/nominations. That way you can prepare a nomination before you even think about and see what the eligible criteria are. And during the nomination process, they're going to ask for recommendation letters from BMES Fellows if appropriate, and there's a list of fellows on the website. So a fellow is considered to be the penultimate rank of BMES for distinguished and excellent faculty, industry partners, and teaching faculty within the Biomedical Engineering Society spectrum. So to apply for a grade of fellow, you would have to complete a form, just like Professor Vasquez noted, and a CV, but the guidelines are not only available online through a link, it's also limited to 10 pages specifically for the fellow nomination. And in that, you'll have the opportunity to present 3 recommendation letters, and that would include the nominator themselves if they would like to supply a letter. Recommendation letters are requested from active BMES fellows. So again, the list that is on the website is where you can look to see who is already a BMES fellow. There are word and page limits that are all available online. Next slide, please. So as Professor Vasquez noted with the awards, we have provided a number of tips to enhance your nominations for the grade of fellow. It's important that every nominator review the eligibility criteria for candidates. And again, this is listed clearly online. Those criteria have been updated for this year. So it's important that if you've nominated in the past, that you review those eligibility criteria and make sure that your nominations meet those criteria. There are rubrics posted for each class of fellow: teaching focused, industry focused, and research focused. It's important that you look through these rubrics to see how the fellow committee is evaluating each nomination. It's important that you highlight the relevant strengths of each nominee through their appropriate rubric. So that could be within the nomination recommendation letters themselves, within the CV, or within the bullet points the questions that are asked during the form. There are guidelines available online for recommendations that clearly outline how the recommendation letter should look, and in that they should meet each of the criteria that is reviewed in the rubric. Many times recommendation letters are focused solely on research impact. And while that is fantastic, it doesn't meet all of the other pieces of the rubric. And therefore, fellow applications are harder to get through when only one piece of the guidelines is met through the letter. If available, you should also clearly demonstrate the impact through quantifiable data and metrics. Because the fellow committee is broad and diverse in its background, there are some times that we may not be experts in the area, in the research area, or the teaching area, or the industry that you have been nominating, you're nominating a person in. So it's really important that you look for some of these quantifiable data that we could use in our evaluation. Next slide, please. As a nominator, it's important that you consider your whole network to nominate any eligible candidate that you can think of. As Professor Vasquez pointed out, this goes beyond your department. It could go beyond your institution, and thinking about those in your field that you think have made a significant impact and are at the level of professor. In addition, it's important not to be discouraged if your nominee does not receive a classification of fellow the first time. Many times, as noted, this is because only there's a limit to the number of people that can be brought to the class of fellow, and that the recommendation letters didn't necessarily meet all the criteria in the rubric. So as a nominator, you can help your other recommenders by providing them with the guidelines and making sure that they have the relevant information to talk about each of the criteria within the rubric. Next slide, please. And as noted for the awards, BMES has provided a lot of information online to allow you as a nominator to give the best recommendation that is possible for somebody to make the grade of fellow. So there's outlined criteria and standard requirements that are available online in addition to the rubric, and that transparency of not only the rubric, but also guidelines on how to write recommendation letters and how to put together a CV for the class of fellow are really important to follow and review as you go through and make your nominations. We seek nominations from diverse candidates by expanding our networks and advertising. So we advertise the BMES Fellow nomination process through many different channels in hopes to get a good pool of applications that is diverse in field, in institution, and in geographic location. So that concludes our webinar for both the awards and committee and the fellow committee.
If you have any questions, please reach out to bmes.org.